I always thought the scariest part of surgery would be the anesthesia. The idea of surrendering your body, your consciousness, everything, to strangers in white coats armed with scalpels and machines, felt like stepping off a cliff blindfolded. But as it turned out, anesthesia wasn't the worst part. Not even close. The worst part was waking up and realizing the woman I trusted most, the one I'd planned to spend my life with, had been lying to me all along. Rachel and I had been together for 4 years. Engaged for 1. To everyone around us, we looked like the perfect couple. Steady, supportive, building a future together. When my chronic back pain began 2 years ago, an ache at first, then a stabbing misery that kept me awake nights, Rachel was there through it all. She rubbed my shoulders after long days, reminded me to see specialists, and swore she'd stand by me no matter what. She was so convincing, I never questioned her loyalty. When my neurosurgeon finally said, "It's time, we'll need to do a spinal fusion," Rachel was calm. Almost too calm. She asked all the right questions, nodded in all the right places, and reassured me every step of the way. She drove me to appointments, joked when I got nervous, and even researched meal plans for my recovery. On the morning of the surgery, she sat by my side in pre-op, fingers laced with mine. Her eyes looked soft, wet with concern. "You're going to be fine, babe," she whispered. "I'll be right here when you wake up." Her face was the last thing I saw before slipping under. Most people wake from anesthesia hours later, groggy, disoriented, a blur of lights and voices swirling above them. But I've always had a strange reaction to anesthetics. I regain consciousness early, not fully but enough. Enough to hear. Enough to sense. My body stays still, my eyes stay closed, but my ears? They work perfectly. That's how, 30 minutes after surgery in the recovery room, I found myself aware again. I felt the sheets under my fingers, the beeping monitor, the faint antiseptic sting of hospital air. I couldn't move, but I could hear. And then I heard her voice. "Rachel." "He's still out," she said casually. Relief rushed through me for a heartbeat. She stayed. She meant it. She'd kept her promise. But then another voice spoke, a softer one belonging to her friend Allie. "How did it go?" Allie asked. Rachel sighed. Not with relief, not with tenderness, but with irritation. "Fine, I guess. The doctor said no heavy lifting for 8 weeks. Her next words felt like a blade. "I'm stuck taking care of him when I could be with James." James. The name shot through me like an electric current. My mind scrambled. Who was James? Why was she saying this here now? Allie's voice dropped to a whisper. "Why not leave?" Rachel scoffed, almost laughing. "We're not married yet. His parents are adding me to their will next month. You know how loaded they are. The old man's health isn't great. Probably why they're updating everything. I just need to stick it out a little longer." Her tone was sharp, calculated. I felt my blood run cold. My father, Richard Sr., had built a construction company from nothing. My mother had given her life to teaching, 3 decades molding young minds. And Rachel, this woman my parents had embraced as a daughter, was circling them like a vulture, waiting for their deaths. Allie sounded horrified. "That's cold, alright. Even for you." Rachel's reply was ice. "It's practical. For years listening to him talk about building projects and football. Playing nice with his boring family. And now I have to play nurse for 2 months? What about James?" There it was again. James. My stomach clenched. "James will wait," she said firmly. "Once everything's legal and Richard Sr. kicks it, I'll be set. James can have his fun now, but he knows the score." They were talking about my father's death like it was a business plan. Allie hesitated, her voice barely audible. "What if Mike wakes up and hears you?" Rachel laughed. That laugh. I'll never forget it. "Sure. Cruel. Mocking. Please. They pump him so full of drugs he'll be lucky to remember his own name. Besides, he trusts me completely. It's almost too easy. Almost too easy." Her words sliced through me. I wanted to scream, to leap up and expose her. But I stayed still. I couldn't let her know. Not yet. When a nurse came in to check my vitals, I decided to wake up. I opened my eyes slowly, groaned faintly, played the part. Rachel was instantly at my side, slipping back into the role of devoted fiancée like an actress changing costumes. "Hey babe," she whispered, brushing my hair back tenderly. "Everything went great. How are you feeling?" I forced my voice weak. "Tired." "I'm right here," she promised. "I'll take good care of you." To anyone watching, she looked perfect. Loving. Unwavering. But now I knew the truth. Every touch was a performance. That night, after she kissed my forehead and left, I called my parents. My voice shook as I said, "Come immediately. It's important, but I'm okay." They arrived within 30 minutes. I told them everything. Every poisonous word I'd overheard. The name James. The will. The plotting. My mother's gasp echoed in the sterile hospital room. My father's face turned crimson, fists tightening at his sides. "She's finished," he growled. "We'll handle this." And handle it they did. By midnight, a plan was in motion. My best friend Eric went to my apartment and packed every scrap of Rachel's belongings into storage. A locksmith changed the locks before morning. My father's attorney stripped her name from every estate document. My mother, devastated but resolute, called Rachel's parents. Their horrified silence said enough. They hadn't raised her to be this way. At 11 p.m., lying in my hospital bed, I typed a single text. "Change of plans. My parents are taking me home tomorrow. Don't come to the hospital." Her reply was instant. "Don't be silly, babe. I'll be there at 9 o'clock. I didn't respond. The next morning, my parents checked me out at 8:15 a.m. By 9:07, Rachel called. I let it ring. By 10 o'clock, she'd called 12 times. By noon, 23 frantic texts lit up my phone. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering? You're scaring me." But I wasn't scaring her. Not really. She wasn't afraid for me. She was afraid for herself. Afraid she'd lost the golden ticket she thought she'd secured. And she was right. Over the next 3 days, Rachel spiraled. She showed up at my apartment and waited outside for 6 hours until management escorted her away. She went back to the hospital parking lot, pestering staff, asking if I'd been readmitted. When told no, she waited there anyway, circling like a shark that had lost its prey. By the third day, she was a wreck, disheveled, frantic, a shadow of the polished woman who'd once charmed everyone in my life. That's when the attorney's letter arrived at her door. It outlined everything. Her words in the recovery room, her betrayal, her eviction from my life. It gave her the address of the storage unit where her belongings now sat. And at the end, my note. "Rachel, you wasted days looking for me in all the wrong places. Just like I wasted years looking for love with the wrong person. The difference is I've learned my lesson. Give my regards to James." The courier told us she read the letter in her car, then rested her forehead against the steering wheel for nearly an hour. That was the last time she ever came near my family again. Life after Rachel wasn't easy. Betrayal doesn't dissolve overnight. For weeks, I lay awake wondering how long she'd been planning it, how many times she'd smiled at me while thinking of James, how often she'd seen my parents as dollar signs instead of people. But slowly, something else began to grow inside me. Gratitude. Relief. Because as painful as it was to lose her, it was worse to imagine the alternative. Marrying her, signing legal documents, watching my parents welcome her deeper into the family, all while she waited for her payday. No. Better that I learned the truth when I did. Better that the mask slipped. And for the first time in years, I started to feel free. If you've made it this far into the story, I'd love to know your thoughts. What would you have done if you were in my position? Lying there, hearing the person you love betray you when they thought you couldn't hear. Drop your answers in the comments below. I read every single one. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and smash the bell icon so you never miss more stories like this. Your support helps us keep sharing real, raw, and eye-opening experiences with the world. In the weeks that followed, my parents and I grew even closer. We laughed more, lingered longer at dinners, and spoke openly about things we used to brush aside. For all the pain Rachel caused, she left me with something unexpected. A sharper sense of what love really looks like. Love isn't a performance in hospital rooms. It isn't whispered schemes about inheritance. It isn't waiting for tragedy to strike for your own gain. Love is sacrifice. Love is patience. Love is showing up not just when it's easy but when it's hard. And though Rachel never truly gave me that, my parents, my friends, and eventually, myself, did. Some betrayals cut deep. But sometimes the wound becomes the doorway to a better life. And as I continue to heal, spine stronger, heart wiser, I know one thing for sure. I'll never waste years looking for love in the wrong places again.